Hello, I'm Lizzie and this is your Reads, and welcome to New Year, New Video, where I'm going for a new me and trying to upload every day for the first week of 2023 with my stats and my wrap-up videos, and looking forward to my resolutions for 2023. So in yesterday's video we set goals, and now we're going to try and intend to achieve those goals with our January TBR. It's my January TBR, but you get the point. And that is a long little intro, so we're sticking with it. No fire today. I thought, let's mix it up. Still in the front room. Do you know when we'll return to the bookshelves? But I'm liking it in here. And yeah, let's chat about the books that I'm going to read in January to try and set my year off right. So let's start with the books that I was currently reading and didn't finish at the end of 2023. I had every intention of finishing these books, but I sort of was reading 3 books at once and just let it get a bit out of hand, so it was very difficult. So I want to really start my year afresh, and in order to do so, I would like to just finish up the books that I was reading. So I'm going to go through those for you now. Some of them do apply for my goals. First off, we have The Blood of Olympus by Rick Riordan. This is book 5 in the Heroes of Olympus series, which is the sequel series to Percy Jackson and the Olympians. It follows Percy Jackson, but also many of Percy Jackson's friends, new and old. And that's all I can really say about it. But I am on page 164 so far, and it is the third of, is it the third today or is it the second? Oh, no, it's the second as of filming of January. So I still have quite a way to go, but I have this on audiobook, so I'll probably get this finished quite quickly, especially once I'm back to work and listening whilst working. So yes, I can definitely get some of this read, and I'm really excited to finish up the series. I was hoping to finish it up in 2022, but we're just bringing it over there. Next we have Only on the Weekends by Dean Atta. Dean Atta wrote The Black Flamingo, which was one of my best books of 2021. Only on the Weekends is told in verse, which is really lovely. It means it's a really quick and easy read. Even though it's really chunky, you can get through it so quickly. I can read literally like 50 pages in like 15 to 20 minutes, depending on how much text is on the page. Some of them it has barely any, so it's really easy to get through, but it's really lovely, poignant story. It's about Mac, who is a 15-year-old black gay young man living in London. He has a boyfriend called Karim, but Karim is not out, and he is his boyfriend sort of only on the weekends. Mac's dad is a famous movie director, and he is taking Mac away to Scotland for I think 3 months, where he can only see Karim only on the weekends anyway, and I believe he's going to meet someone else, someone who I think there's going to be a little love triangle situation. That's what it alludes to in the prologue, but we shall see. I really am enjoying it. I'm really loving it, but I am on page 250, so I'm halfway through, but still just got a little bit more to reread. Next we have Night Crawling by Layla Motley. This is the story of a young black woman living in America on the poverty line, or below the poverty line really. Essentially what has happened is her father is dead, her mother is no longer living with her. I think she's 17 years old and her brother's 21, and they are living in a flat and they're raising the rent. So she goes night crawling, so she becomes a sex worker through absolute necessity, and in this like horrific world that she's sort of living in this spiral of poverty. I believe it was up for the Man Booker Prize last year, so this is definitely going to be my out of my comfort zone read, because it just feels a little bit literary. It's not too bad. I can definitely read it. I'm consuming it quite easily so far. The story is very poignant. I'm taking it quite slowly, mainly because it's very depressing, and I really like it. My boyfriend actually picked it out for me. He went into the bookshop and just was looking around and found something that he thought I'd like, and I think, to be honest, he was drawn in by the cover and then read the blurb and thought it sounded really interesting, and it is super interesting and I'm really enjoying it, but it's I'm taking it very slowly, so it was unlikely that I was going to finish it before the end of the year anyway. But yeah, I'm making my way through it, and hopefully it'll be a good one. Next we have one that I haven't read in a really long time, but I am halfway through and I would like to really finish in the first couple of weeks of the year, and that is Vagina by Naomi Wolf. This is a non-fiction book about the vagina and women's sexual health and menopause and orgasms, etc. Basically all the things that I said I loved in a non-fiction book. And it is very interesting. I think the information's a little bit outdated. I think it talks in a very gender bias kind of way. I think I'm not enjoying it as much as I thought I would, but I think I'm going to try and finish it, and it probably won't get a very high rating. Some stuff is really good, some stuff's a bit of bullshit, but with non-fiction I think my tolerance is a little bit higher because I'm sort of reading it for different purposes. Unless I read something blatantly horrific, then I probably will just see it through and then just sort of think of it on a more critical angle than I would a fiction book. Yeah, I'm not too keen on it. I think that's why I put it down. I have read this before. I read it I think about 7 or 8 years ago, and I definitely wasn't as wise to some of the things that I'm seeing in it now, but I'm going to carry on reading it and see what I report back, but I really want to clear it off my TBR either way. So that book was a non-fiction, so I'll probably count it for my non-fiction, but there is another non-fiction I'd like to read this month, and that is Spare by Prince Harry. Spare by Prince Harry comes out next week on the 10th, and I just want to read it because I'm nosy. I want to see what it says about the royal family, if there's anything interesting in there. I'm just really nosy. So I've pre-ordered it and it's an anticipated read. So that's another non-fiction that I'll be reading. So we'll be hitting my goal. I'll actually already be 2 ahead if I manage to read both of those non-fiction books. But also next week out comes Hellbent, which is the sequel to Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. I didn't bring Leigh Bardugo out here. I didn't bring Leigh Bardugo out of my pocket. No, I didn't bring Ninth House out. I don't know why. And Hellbent I have pre-ordered, so it should be coming to me next week. But I am going to reread Ninth House and then read Hellbent because it's been a few years since Ninth House came out. And I remember really liking it. It's about Alex Stern, I believe her name is, and she is someone who can see ghosts, and she sort of goes to work at this secret society in an American college, maybe Harvard or Yale or something like this, and basically was sort of working on dual timelines to get a friend of hers back. That's a very loose description. I wouldn't say that's the best description I've ever given. I can't really remember. It's been such a long time. I remember key moments, and if you've read it, you know the moment I'm talking about. But I will be rereading that in order to read the second one. I remember really enjoying it. I gave it 5 stars. But I don't know, it's been a few years, so hopefully my taste is still the same. But I'm going to reread the first one. I'll probably reread it. I want to finish as many of my books that I'm currently in the middle of first, and I'll probably start rereading it like the evening before the sequel comes out, because I've still got to wait for the sequel to get to me anyway, so it might take a little while, so I won't rush it. And next, in a bid to get a ton of the books off my shelf that have been sitting there for a little while, some of them I've had a while, some of them are new, but in order to sort of increase my turnover and knock some books off my TBR, I have quite a few TBR books I want to read. So first of all, I want to read Lore Olympus. I'm going to reread volume 1 as well, I think, and then 2 and 3 also, because I recently bought 2 and 3 in the Waterstones Boxing Day sale. So yeah, I'm really excited to be reading these because I remember really enjoying the first Lore Olympus volume. So I'll probably reread these hopefully in like a day if I had like just enough free time, but I don't know if that's going to happen. Next, I have a couple of sequels that I really want to get round to before I forget, it gets too late. The first of them being, and the oldest one being, Amari and the Great Game by B.B. Alston. This came out in August, I think, June, July, August, around that time. And I loved Amari and the Night Brothers. It was one of my best books of 2021. And I really wanted to read this, but I just wanted to have enough time to read it. And I feel like I'm just going to have to dive in and then I'll make time for it. I think that's the plan. So this is one I really want to get to. Amari is a young girl, I think she's about 10, who her brother's been missing, and her brother said that he worked for like the, what they called in America, like he was that special agent at MI5. No, MI5 is English. The FBI. He said he worked for the FBI, and when he goes missing, the FBI had no record of working for him. And then one day, Amari gets a message to say, you know, what, you were right. Everyone's saying that your brother's gone missing because of drugs. He's been profiled because he's a young black man. They say, oh, he's gone missing for drugs. You know, they're just assuming that's what he's gone missing for. He's got him with the wrong crowd and things like that. But what has actually happened is he is missing. He was a special agent, but he was a special agent for a Men in Black supernatural secret service type situation, and the first one was brilliant, so fun and so enjoyable. So I'm really excited to see what happens in the second one. There was a big twist at the end of the first book, so I'm really excited to read this one. I think it could be really good. Another sequel that I've been highly anticipating, and that is The Ballad of Never After by Stephanie Garber. In February of last year, I read Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. It loosely follows on her Caraval series, which I've never read, but I picked it up on a whim because I had it from a Fairy Loot box, and I just wanted to read it and I wanted to try it. And I really loved it. I didn't need the context. I didn't need anything. About Evangeline Fox, who she has the love of her life, and the love of her life gets engaged to her sister, and something has come over him, and she has no idea what's going on, and she goes to speak to the Prince of Hearts to try and change things and stop things from happening, and it all sorts of unfolds from there. But it's just really fun. I really enjoyed it. It was really light, and it was a really nice story. I just really liked it, which I wasn't expecting to like it as much as I did. So I got the Fairy Loot edition of The Ballad of Never After, which follows on from that. It's beautiful as well. Some of the most beautiful books that I own. So I'm really excited to have this and read this. I really want to read it soon. Every time I pick up one of these books, I want to read them immediately. That's how much I'm enjoying them. We also have Defend the Dawn by Bridget Kemmerer. Towards the end of last year, I read Defy the Night by Bridget Kemmerer, which is about a young woman who is rebelling against the crown in her kingdom and giving medicine to the poor, stealing the medicine from the rich to give to the poor, because the poor aren't getting the medicine to help combat this disease, this magical disease that's like plaguing their land, and the royals don't seem to be doing enough with it. Basically, that's sort of how it starts. It goes on very far from there, and I actually really enjoyed it. Had a brilliant time, but I'm really worried that if I leave it too long, I'll forget the details. So I want to read the sequel, which I actually saw Marissa from Genre Garden say that she preferred this over the first one, I think. I feel like she said she preferred it over the first one. I think I saw that on her Instagram stories. And I really want to get to this soon. So I got the copy on Black Friday, I think. So I'm really excited to read this. Another one that is technically a sequel, and that is Explorers at Stardust City by Alex Bell, which is, it's sort of in the overarching Polar Bears Explorers Club series, which is one of my favourite middle grade books of all time. The Polar Bear Explorers Club follows Stella Starfate Pearl, who is a young girl, and her dad Felix is an explorer, and she can't be an explorer. She can't join an explorers club because she is a girl, but only explorers are given two names, so two first names by the fairies, and Stella Starflake Pearl was given two names by the fairies, and she's determined to be a explorer and goes on the Polar Bear Explorers Club to like the Antarctic, that sort of world, and it sort of follows on from there. The first 4 books in the series or 3 books in the series. No, the first 3 books in the overarching series follow Stella Starfate Pearl, and then the sequels trilogy, presume this is the last one in that trilogy, follow a different club or a different area of that world, and we're exploring that, and Stella does feature, which is just so much fun. So, oh, there's no map in this one. All the other ones had a map. Oh, that's a shame. It's a middle grade of the truest sense. It's just a really fun, cozy time. These have all been some of my favourite middle grades ever, and I'm really excited to read this. So this is one that I'm really, really enjoying. I haven't looked at the blurb or anything. I know that seems a bit redundant, but because I know I'm going to love it, I don't need to. I just picked it up because there's one that's come out every year this will be the 6th year in a row. And I got it for the first time at uni. And I've read them every year, and for quite a few years I've reread all the other ones. I didn't do it this year just because of time, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. And I usually read them around Christmas, but I'll read them in January when it's still cozy vibes. That actually makes up 4 anticipated sequels, so I might do a 2022 anticipated sequels video for you, just because that might be quite nice to read them all back to back and then dedicate some time to actually doing that. One other book that I really want to get to is King of Battle and Blood by Scarlett St. Clair. All I know is this is an Adrian slash Isolde retelling, which I don't actually know much about, but I have the sequel, and I have their other book, their Hades and Persephone retelling, and I'm just very aware that I'm letting this author's books all sit on my shelves and not actually reading any of them. So I thought I'd just chuck it in there just to get started. I may potentially start my next instalment of Exploring Romance, which I think I'm about time I moved on to some fantasy romance, because there are lots of fantasy romance books I want to start and read. And I kind of feel like around this time leading up to February might be a good idea. So I might include that in that video. Spoilers. But yes, so that's good. That'll be a good one. I haven't put many romance books in here. I think it's because I've read so many romance books. I've been neglecting all of the other books that I really want to read. A lot of them do have elements of romance. So these have elements of romance. Laura Olympus has romance. I do have a couple of things in the works. I obviously am looking to start a new one of my video projects, which is one of my goals, was to make sure I'm uploading a video project each month. Now, I do already have one ready to go that was filmed in December, so I don't need to sort of read, edit and film a whole video all in one month. So I'm trying to get a bit ahead so I don't have to do it all in one month, because sometimes it won't come out in the month if I have to do all of it in one month, particularly when I'm reading quite a few books for one vlog, and sometimes they end up an hour long. But I have one, I've got some ideas for one in the works. I would quite like to, if I can get some time, to complete another TBR trials. I'll link the first one in this I did down below, where I sort of pick 5 books, read do a try chapter tag, and sort of decide, okay, so am I going to read this, or shall I unhaul it? I'd quite like to do that with some of my book box books, because I have 2 copies of Book of Night, and I want to know if I will need to get rid of them or not, because I don't know if I need both of them. What if I love it? I don't think I will. I've heard terrible things, but I just want to sort of put it out there, and I want to read it, or decide if I'm going to unhaul it, or is the first chapter bad? All things like that. So those are a few things that may be coming your way. I do have a lot of plans. I have about 14 to 15 books, which is fine, because that's under the average that I need to be reading. But I never usually have this many physical books to read. So I'm a little bit scared, but it's okay. It's going to be fine. We are going to just get on. And I realise that I also need to probably reread Wheel of Time, because I want to watch Sandra's book club. I need to find out the date for that, and then also I need to look at the J. Abercrombie for catch-up book club, because I'd quite like to partake in that, but it's fine. Thank you for watching. This is a little bit chaotic, but it's fine. I'll speak to you tomorrow. Bye.